So welcome ZeroTheHero, the actual hero, the one who top fourth and splitted at the 5K Sunday, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah, the
Yes.
WCC Sunday 5K.
Yeah. Um, how was it the first time you actually played the deck, or did you had the time to go for a previous tournament or a local with it before running that?
So yeah, it was interesting because to prepare for this tournament, I thought that Discard was going to do very well. So I practiced a lot of Green Steel actually, because at the time I think that was the predominant like Discard deck. But I didn't catch wind of this deck until like the week before. So I had about a week of practice with the deck. But yeah, I did a lot of practice online, practice with my team, and I did go to one locals with it and did really well against like Red Blue and such on it. So um, yeah, it was a very short time of practice, but it was kind of good practice. So yeah.
And yeah, of course, like as you said, green steel was the previous shell for discard. It
Hmm.
has been since Bucky, and it was really hard to find another shell for discard outside of the usual Bucky steel deck. But yeah, here we are with green purple discard. As um strange it might sound, this works actually, and it works pretty well. Um, yeah, with this meta game of blue steals and red blue, like mainly blue X something. How did you manage to sneak into the top four? Was those matchup hard against blue?
I think so. Part of it was last set. I had a lot of practice against Red Blue because I was playing Blurple last set,
All
and
right.
that was my hardest. Yeah, it was my hardest matchup. So I practiced it a lot. Like I went a lot of like runs against it. And I think understanding the deck helps a lot, like the Red Blue deck. And once you kind of get it, you kind of know like a little bit of like what you need to do to kind of like get around some of the more oppressive cards that they're going to use on you. And like if you know what at what ink points to be worried about what could drop down, what are the big threats that you have to worry about, and I think something that's comes naturally after a while is kind of understanding that they themselves are kind of bricked or having issues. Like you can kind of see when they're struggling to find some of the cards that they're looking for,
Yeah.
and if you push the pressure points at the correct moments, that helps a lot. And I think that's playing with any deck. The best part about discard and why I think it helps a lot is you can see those pressure points and you can also force them by discarding and making it like very awkward for them, like beyond there. So yeah, I would say I probably have a little bit of an easier time against like red blue specifically just because of that practice. It definitely feels like a way stronger deck this set, and obviously a lot of people are worried about it, and they're making their thoughts heard about what kind of meta that we are seeing. I do think a little bit of practice goes a long way. Like you don't have to play red blue or even discard if you don't feel comfortable with it. If you just know the matchups, I think it helps a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to hear that you don't really always have to go for the dominant deck. I mean, of course, red, blue, and
Mhm.
blue still are on top of the meta game right now, but it doesn't mean that you have to fight the fire with fire. You can also
Right.
counter step that meta game and come with something that counters those two top decks.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's really interesting to see that you, even though they are extremely dominant, you can still find new ways, new decks. There's also the another discard shell with Ember Emerald.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's performing quite decently against Red Blue. It has uh, also Snook in the top 8 or top 16, I think, of the Bologna. spring Italian league. It was
Mhm.
over 300 players, and there was a green yellow that this card that managed also to beat those red blues. So yeah, it's really even though some feel the meta game is not healthy at the moment because blue decks are too dominant, uh, we can still find a way around it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you also faced one of those discard Kida decks with Ember Green, right? In your
Um, not in this tournament. So I faced two Amber Emerald players, but they were both on the Dogs list. So yeah,
all right, they were on
yeah,
China. Yeah, because I saw in your recap that yeah,
right,
because when you see the colors, you're not always sure. But yeah, against
right.
China Dog, yeah. But also something we can talk about is how good this shell is against aggro decks.
Oh yeah.
I think you had like
Um,
no problem against them, not even sweating
so
or flinching. Yeah.
that's right. It was funny because I did play against a Ghosty who I think was one of the like flagship Dog players. Like he's one of the ones that came up with the shell of like the main Dog deck that everyone's playing right now. And we did have a conversation, but this deck just completely like rips that deck apart in my opinion, and in his opinion too. Cause yeah, it's just we seem to have all the answers. Like I talk about it a little bit, but just things like we hit for four very easily with like Fox and like Crab and Diablo. Like everything like hits for four, and a lot of his characters are 0-4 or 1-4.
Yeah,
And then Bruno just massacres Chernabog when it comes down because
yeah,
they've thrown away
that's brutal.
everything. Right, yeah, it's a brutal card, and yeah, we I think it just seems to have all the answers. We also don't have to discard as much because they have to play out onto the field, and then they usually hold like one or two cards, and that's pretty easy to hit with like Lucifer or something like that. But yeah, I think that was one of the things that drew me to this deck is because since I played Blurple last set, I was very cognizant of how Amethyst takes care of aggro because we had to deal with like mine aggro and even purple yellow. I saw quite a few purple yellow players and stuff like that. And if you understand how Amethyst can deal with that, I think this deck is a lot better into aggro than Green Steel is, which was part of what drew me to it as well. Like it just felt that that matchup was better, and matchup against like purple steel aggro was better, like stuff like that where they can like swarm the field. Sometimes Green Steel can't go fast enough to like respond, and sometimes we can't either. But we do have the tools to get there, which is what I really like.
Yeah. Also a tool that you don't have in other amethyst shells is that we have access to Creaky, which is like a
Right.
three-headed crab. It's really super powerful into those, as you said, locations. It like one-shot the locations single-handedly. Um, yeah, but we have the usual Diablo crab, and also like the crab and fox synergy.
Hmm.
Um, Talking about Fox and Crab synergy, to make some room in the deck, you had to cut one of those, and you decide to go for the Crab. Why the Crab and not the Fox?
So I think that's just a habit as a purple player. It's like Fox just feels like it can't be like taken out. I can see now that you've mentioned it, and I think I was watching like Artabax and stuff like that where they talk about like the Fox as well being a little like less required versus other Amethyst decks, and I can see that. Like maybe I should have taken the Fox out. It was as I was building this deck, I just went like I feel like these were the ones you normally kind of like can like take one of out like in Blurple or whatever. Like losing a crap was fine. I also thought something like, oh, we have Crickies also, so that seems to like also be like a crab. So that was my thought process behind that. Would I do it again? I mean, like I didn't really miss the crab during the tournament, but I can see like getting more consistent crabs because we don't have like besides Prince John, we don't really have a very stable three drop. Like at least when crab hits the board, it doesn't bounce something back, so I can see that as well. So yeah,
Yeah, I think that your argument of like taking out the crab instead of the fox by being used to those deck manipulations in other shares
Mhm.
of purple. I kinda agree with that because usually you're playing multiple Merlins. Like on top of the crab, you also play the rabbit. You also play
Yes.
the goat. So there is
Right.
much value in bouncing. In this deck, there isn't that much value in bouncing. I mean, you can protect the Prince John if you really have to quest or sing with it. You can
Mhm.
protect it by bouncing it back, but there is not much to bounce. So you kinda uh, don't have those targets for Min Fox that makes her valuable. And also you have like really weak challenge power turn 1, turn 2.
Mhm.
You have the 2 drop Diablos, but if you go like 1 drop Diablo into Ursula, you're really need the crab to contest Smith or Kalun or like also Bell, because Bell now is a commune threat in the metagame.
Right.
So yeah, I would also I was surprised by taking off one crab instead of the fox, because usually as for what we're doing in the team when we go for little techs and try to find slots to test cards, we usually take off one fox. But yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I wanted to hear your opinion on that. You also have taken out one of the genies, and I really didn't think about it, but yeah, as I saw your list, it became kind of an evidence that genie is not as surprising as it is. Genie is not that good in this shell.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think yeah, that's what's I see. I think in the past week, I think like a lot of content creators have been covering the deck just because it plays, and I'm hearing all their opinions, and then a lot of them were also saying like, oh, three genie, that's kind of weird. Like they would expect four, but I just in testing and also just from previous experience playing purple. Genie just feels so difficult to play into red blue, like just because it was how often like last set I would get hit by ice block little Sisu or brawl just the moment it drops. It just felt like not great in my opinion. And when I was testing the list, I just noticed when I was against red blue, if I drew a genie and then I drew another genie, I'm like, I'm never gonna play these. They're just sitting in my hand and they're not doing anything. They are super great in this list though, because once you've discarded your opponent's hand, they can stick. Like there's usually they won't have a response to it. So I do like eventually drawing it. I just don't like drawing like so many of them. So that's why I decided to drop one. I still think like three, I saw it usually when I wanted to see it because when you draw it, it's uninkable. It just sits in your hand, but you'll have it. It'll be there. So I'll have it the moment that I've already discarded my opponent's hand. Then I can drop it. And I felt like yeah, I usually only drop like one or two per game, so I didn't really feel like I missed out. And they were there when I wanted them, so that's my thought process behind that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's the reason that we have only played the two Prince John for now a very long time. Even when like back in set even set 5, I think, when Wahoo won the Lorca quest with green still discard, he was
Mhm.
also low on Prince Johns because the tough process was almost never won two of them, and since
Right.
it's non inkable, it really hurts your hand. So yeah, I understand that sometimes you don't need, you don't really want to go Genie turn 4 into Genie turn 5. Often your turn 5 is gonna be either Elsa or Creaky
Right.
or anything else, but being too heavy on Genies doesn't help you that much. You're not an aggro deck, so you're not looking for that lore questing power of Genie. And the problem is like the body is great for survivability because it's 2/4 is really nice, but
Mhm.
as 3 trees are the the key of the format, having only 2 power also hurts. You don't have
Yeah.
great traits. I mean, Jenny doesn't take he doesn't take anything by himself. he needs the help of Crab to be boosted or Elsa to double trade. That's also why improvise is so good in this deck when you have genies. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I really agree on taking out genies because they are not very good at managing the board, at dealing with your opponent's characters. Questing is not that important. The only thing he really does well, I think, is singing friends and discard from a safe spot since it's
Right.
evasive. But also to go a little bit further on that thought process, as we were also trying to make room in the deck for the red blue matchups, um, taking out genies goes in pair with taking out improvise because the two work so well together. When you go down in numbers of either improvise or genie, you
Hmm.
want to take the other one out too.
Yep. Yeah, that was exactly my thought process too, going down that line. So, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. And another thing was I think at the time the list had like one Lucifer mainly. A lot of the lists had one Lucifer,
Yeah.
and I really wanted the second one. And that was usually what I wanted to drop on turn five. Like you said, like you don't want a genie into genie, but I really like following it with Lucifer sometimes. So yeah, I think Lucifer did a lot of work, especially in the red blue matchup. Uh, yeah, I really like two of that, and I also agree with two of Prince John. I think that was a really good number to have because I saw it when I needed it, but I never saw too many of it. So that's good.
And talking about Lucifer, did you play Lucifer especially for the blue red matchup?
I put it in initially, yes, for blue red. Just I think the discard power behind it is really strong, but it also ended up showing up in my other matchups as well, like purple steel and such. It's a little complicated because a lot of people don't think that it's too great into red blue because one they'll have like a lot of actions usually, so they you only sometimes they only lose like one card, and he only has two strengths, so he's kind of susceptible to CCs and stuff too. But like I think he's just a really good finisher because you don't drop him until you're kind of like sure that your opponent is going to like lose their hand. I think that's also why one thing I really prioritize against red blue specifically is I really try to look at their hand as many times as I can, just to like kind of get a gauge of what I need to do to get rid of it. So like I think that was partially why I also liked having more foxes. I would bounce the little Diablo back, maybe on turn four, so I can like play it again. And sometimes I'll just play Ursula, even if I know they don't have a song. Like I just
Yeah,
want to
just to
see their
take
hand.
a peek at their hand, yeah, and make
Yeah,
sure if you want to go the Lucifer route. Yeah.
right. You want to keep looking and looking, and I usually paid especially attention to like how many items they have or like how many heroes they have because yeah, I did add the has set my heart, which I think nobody else was on, but
Yeah, yeah.
knowing how many items they had was really important to like getting the most out of that card.
And talking about has set my heart, how how clutchy was that card in the tournament you
In
play on in overall in the deck?
Right. In that tournament specifically, it came super clutch. I think every red blue matchup it did something. So that was great. I also like I mean it's you can throw it away for a Diablo shift as well if you're not against an item deck and it's inkable. So that's kind of like what I enjoyed about it. But no, yeah, it came super clutch like doing simple stuff like getting rid of a coil, which sometimes they don't expect like super early. I even hit one of my opponents. It was game three, so the first two games it just didn't show up. But game three, where I was on the play, and I had the two drop Diablo on turn two, they coil on turn two, and then I sing it on them on my next turn. And then my opponent like he even said out loud, he was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that was a two cost song." Like he didn't expect to get hit by it like
Yeah,
right then. So there was definitely the surprise factor. But even beyond that, since like I had some times where I look at his hand, he has no more items and he has like two heroes in his hand. So if I pop the only popsicle on the field, then suddenly they can't draw. And then if you keep discarding their hand, one of my opponents like was forced to play Hiram because it was the last card in his hand, and he didn't want to get it discarded. He was hoping to top deck something. But then I next turn I just Elsa'd it down, and I already had a fox on the field, so then I took it
Yeah.
out, and then suddenly he's top decking, right? There's like specific situations like that. Um, yeah, I think like I had three red blue matchups during the tournament, and each like at least one of the games like in each of them like it did something. So yeah,
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we internally in the team we didn't talk about this card, but we mentioned it in the maybe pool of the cards we could play. But
right.
um, we tested the Effalump and
Yes,
and I don't know what was the complete name of the card, but the one that
and weasels.
it
Yeah.
yeah. It's also a two-cost song, Inkable, and it denies your opponent from questing next turn with target character, and you draw back a card. So what we
Mhm.
liked about that is it also handicaps ERAM from questing and drawing.
Right.
Problems like, yeah, if they play ERAM, they will draw from the original cast, so that's kind of
Right.
annoying. But at least if a lump draws back something, so it cycles itself, it can
Mhm.
also be used against aggro. So we can test that a little bit, and we went into Ephalum because it felt good enough against Red Blue. It did at least something, and we kind of gave up on the has set my heart. We didn't even tested it since the card doesn't throw back itself.
Right.
Sometimes you really like when you play against aggro or any decks, it really sucks having that.
Oh
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
it's inkable in its action to pitch on Diablo, so you always find a use a use for it. But uh, playing I think like playing Lucifer's and has set my heart and multiplying the number of clunky cards that really kind of stick to your hand when you're against those matchups that you have no use for them.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's I think something that we cannot dodge anymore since the blue-red matchup. It's so hard and it's so predominant. It's like 1/4 of the metagame.
Mhm.
Um, and we have a so good matchup against aggro. I think we can cut a little bit of the aggro advantage we have to focus on red blue with set my heart.
Yeah. I did do so before when I was first testing. I was also on Heffalumps instead of Has Set My Heart. I think it was just doing testing. Like whenever I used it, I used it on Hiram, like you said. I used it
Yeah,
on the six cost Tamatoa, so I couldn't like free play a song. And then yeah, in aggro, you can delay it for a turn. Yeah, it's good. I think it's a good if the meta was more like healthy, as people keep saying, like if it
yeah,
wasn't like because I definitely brought this deck anticipating a lot of Sapphire Steel and a lot of like Ruby Sapphire. If I wasn't, then I would probably be playing either Heffalumps or some other like maybe song in that place. But yeah, it just I just remember in testing, I would be like, okay, so I have lumps to Hiram, and then next turn I still don't have an answer to the Hiram, and I still don't have an answer to the Popsicle, and he can't quest because I have lumped him, so it's not going to be exerted, so I still can't get rid of it. So he's still going to draw two. I just delayed
yeah.
it for a turn. That was just my usual feelings. I was like, I need a more like definite answer where I get rid of that Popsicle so that he won't draw. But yeah, I mean, will it work every time? Like, probably not. It did work out for me this day, so it was great for now. But maybe in the long run, maybe not. But like so far, so good, I guess.
Yeah, and also as you said earlier, it takes care of Coil, which denies them the possibility of taking down the Diablo with Sisu, which is quite big.
Yes.
It's quite
Yeah.
big because some of the lists, like I'm thinking about Hikyu list that he won
Mhm.
a tournament in France with. He's only
Mhm.
playing two brawls and he's playing four small Sisus, four big Sisus.
Yeah.
He's really
Yeah.
heavy on Sisus, but yeah, if you can manage to take down the ice block because it's playing two of them, or the coil for most of the classic red blues. There are only left with two bros to deal with Diablo, and there you go. You can have a game at least.
Yeah, yeah, that was I think one of the deciding factors too was in my testing, like once the red blue players, like the ones that are used to discard, like they know how to play against it, a lot of them would play coil on turn two because they don't want to ramp because they're like losing cards in hand and it was a really good like tempo for them to go like turn one pop, turn two coil, turn three little sisu, right? They're always gonna get something. So I just got like creamed by it a couple times and I was like, oh, I can like get rid of the coil like immediately, which was another reason that I also played this card. But yeah.
And let's move on against another. Let's move on to another card, tech card that you put
Yes.
in for those blue decks, the Queen.
Yes.
You said that you it was good against the blue steel, but
hmm
you didn't feel it was that great against red blue. Can you elaborate
I
on that?
yeah. I thought it might be. So I actually did not have much testing with this card. I was just kind of looking for like something else to like make the matchup a little better. I did play against a lot of Sapphire Steel, but that was mainly it for testing with the Queen. But it did feel good there because they remove it a lot. It was harder for them to remove it, but I think throughout this tournament day, it's just whenever I played the queen, it got removed so easily. But just like like coil and
Yeah,
brawl, oh, it's gone. Yeah, stuff like that. And you normally don't want to play it till later anyway, so they usually have some answer to her to some degree. But and I think the thing that is kind of selling me that the queen isn't as great is against aggro. If they go super wide, if they're like steel, they have like Shmees, Calhouns, and all that stuff. Then my queen, I'll probably have to run into one of those like myself, and then I just do like this super bad trade. But
yeah.
yeah, I think the thought was there, and I do still like it into Sapphire Steel. If that was like the predominant deck and that's all I see, I might still run this card. But I think like I mean it just underperformed a little bit. Just I wouldn't cut it. I wouldn't cut it out. Like I wouldn't count it out either. But um, yeah, yeah, it's something to think about.
And did you think about maybe swapping the queen for the Merlin goat since it's the same in cost, it's thinkable, it has um, same stats, and
Uh,
also it almost makes the same lore because like if you can play in the goat, you quest with it, they kill it, you're up on +3, and if you
right.
manage to swing the queen, you're up +3, then they kill it. So it can that those are almost the same. I don't know what you think about that.
So the reason I didn't even think about goat is like you said, we don't have like any balance, and even sometimes like for your guys' lists and other lists, you only have three of the foxes. So
Yeah.
I feel like the goat isn't as well used in this deck versus other amethyst decks. But the other thing is, I think I'm not really using the queen for lore gain. Like I would if I was up against something like more like Steel Song or something because they have like a lot of princesses, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
queen I could use for lore gain there, and I've had success using her in that situation. But the main reason I think I put her in for the deck is to bottom deck items like for red blue and blue steel, like so that the Tamatoa can't fish them out. Also, maybe if my opponent is playing Maui Shark, I can bottom deck all the actions away, and then I can quest, and I don't worry about him hitting me because like there's probably not an action that he can fish back out. So I'm using her more like a tool versus as like lore game. So that's why I don't really think similarly about the goat as the queen. But yeah,
There's also an action, actually a song that sings for one. Um, it calls me.
yeah,
I don't know
it
if
calls me.
you thought about that card being in your
Yeah, so
deck
I
at some
did.
point.
That's funny because my first iteration of this deck, I did put that in because I wanted the queen effect, but I didn't want it to like dedicate a four cost body. The only thing I don't like about that song is it shuffles your opponent's deck. So
All
the
right,
whole
yeah.
reason the whole reason I had it was to bottom deck items. But if it shuffles, then he's drawing the Fortispheres and the popsicles again, and I'm like, okay, I just gave him more items, so that's why I didn't run it.
Yeah, that's quite fair. I mean, you wanna deny them from Tamatoa, but you don't want them to redraw something that fits Iram. So yeah,
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 definitely
understandable.
not.
Um, all right. I think we can talk about everything that was specific to your version of the deck.
Mhm.
Um, I still want your opinion about two other versions of the deck that come up. One the same weekend as yours,
Mhm.
with David Crayson doing top 8 in a 128 players tournament the same weekend, I guess.
Yes.
Um, but he was playing some really interesting cards that we as I mean players of the deck that has run it for a couple of times in a while.
Mhm.
I was surprised to see Gogo Tamago and mainly Gogo Tamago. Cove, I thought about it. Merlin Crab, we just Merlin God, I mean, we just talked about it also,
Yeah.
and it's yeah, I'm not surprised to see those two, but the Gogo Tamago, I didn't expect it. What's your opinion on those?
Yeah. So yeah, I just kind of gave my opinion on the goat, but I mean, it worked out for him. So I would be interested to see how
Yeah,
he piloted the goat. Cove, I also tested. I I think I was focused a lot on the red blue matchup, and it didn't really feel that great in that because I think we have like good two drops we want to be playing. Um, and I'd rather play those on turn two. And then even if I have the Cove against like red blue, they'll just remove all my characters anyway, and I
yeah,
don't get much done there. And yeah, I really wanted to focus on like singing like Set My Heart or whatever with my two cost character, so I couldn't really afford to play Cove on turn two. I think that might change. So, because I was testing with the card, and I think at the time the deck was getting very popular, so I saw a lot of mirror matches, and it felt pretty good in a mirror match, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
Like
It does,
having
it
the Cove,
does.
yeah, when all your characters are just a little stronger than your opponents, then it feels super good. So, if people are gonna start picking this deck up, like probably this would be a good thing to add to it. Also, if like Steel starts packing like fire to cannons and booms or things that can easily take out Diablo and stuff, then I could probably see that too. Go Go. Honestly, I did not think about this card at all, but like thinking about it, it feels like it makes sense in the deck. I'll have to test it. It sounds like it works though, like just like theoretically. But yeah, I didn't do any testing with this card. I wasn't thinking about it at all, just because it's obviously very prevalent in the aggro version of Green Steel, Green Purple.
Green purple, yeah.
So yeah, they love playing it a lot, and I can see why when they're like trying to rush you to win. And I wasn't thinking about like rushing my opponent. I was like, my main game plan was discard their hand and then slowly win from there. But it sounds like it's not bad, especially if you're just missing a little bit of lore. Maybe even just like a one of, like I think that would be something to consider. But yeah.
I think yeah. For the game plan of the deck, mainly you just wanna control their hand and their board, so you just almost always challenge everything with Crab, with Elsa, with
Mhm.
Creaky. You discard the hand, so you're often behind in the lore. And yeah, Gogo Tamago. I didn't think it was an option for the deck because you're not looking to quest aggressively. You don't often need to close the game by a small margin.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's also interesting to me since they're playing some goats. I can understand their game plan. I think maybe they just wanna uh, slow down their opponent enough for them to being leading the race. You know, sometimes you just go for a couple of Genies and maybe you go for a Creaky. you trade enough for them not being able to quest that aggressively, but you don't have to wipe everything. You
Right.
sometimes you have the creaky, they have goat. I mean they have crab. You can send the creaky and the crab to make a clear trade, but you can also just quest and go for the win faster than them. So
Right.
I can see that game plan going and them using Gogota going in that way.
Yeah.
Um,
So that does look more like a hybrid, like in between aggro and discard
because
from
they
that
also
deck.
cut one Elsa,
Yeah.
which is super surprising because usually the four Elsa and the four Brunos are really the game closers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because I think on the Artacast they also talked about cutting the Elsa, but I'm also like coming from Blurple, like I'm used to like not having much removal. Like this deck also like it just has like Bruno mainly besides having like Quickie as challenger removal. So I just feel like also super important. Like I think that's the one card I wouldn't really cut just because it answers so much like you said. So yeah.
And yeah, as we said, like it's just the game closer. Once you have taken care of their hand and their board, you need something for their top decks to make sure they are endless and boardless at each point, starting at turn
Exactly.
5, for you to be able to swing with everything. And
Hmm.
Helsa and Bruno does that. Cutting those, it's kind of strange to me. Also, if if the deck becomes more popular and those mirror purple comes
Yes.
up, you need the Elsa because there's always the Elsa Genie battle,
Yes. Yes.
and yeah,
Which
you need to
yeah,
trade
we're
Elsa
really
into
used to that.
Genies and Genies into
Yeah.
Elsa. It's always that. It's always
Oh yeah.
only about that.
Yeah, I can't
And
avoid those
yeah,
battles.
and the Diablo 2 also helps a lot with those trades
Yes.
because you don't before you needed to go Genie Elsa always. Now you can not have the Genie and have just Diablo Elsa to take care of other Genies or Elsas.
Right.
So that's great too. Um, if we move on to Artabax list, because
Yes.
LD's list was more classic to what we used to play.
Hmm.
So I don't see the point in elaborating on his list because it was super classy. But
Yeah.
Artaba's list is taking some white statements, I think, on the base list by cutting one Elsa and playing four Ursula Deceiver of All.
Hmm.
What do you think about this 3-drop Ursula and its singing
Uh,
power in the deck?
yeah. So I did consider this, because I think yeah, I saw some decks running it as well. I didn't get the chance to test much with it because I think again I was like really worried about red blue and it seems not good into it. I can kind of see like let's say you get your Diablo shift on turn two and then you play the Ursula after that. At least it forces them to make a decision on who they want to brawl or like or coil Sisu whatever they're gonna do. So that's interesting that I didn't really think about because I immediately thought like, oh, Ursula is going to get brawled, is going to get like removed by something. So I didn't think much about it. Also, he did add the Strike a Good Match as another song that it could sing. Because initially I thought, oh, it can sing Sudden Chill and Friends, and that's really it. So
It can
that
sing
was
Set My Heart.
yeah, so when I was thinking about it, I didn't have the Set My Heart yet, but that is also really, yeah, that is something to think about. It can sing Double has Set My Heart, I guess, as a possibility too. So, I'll probably test it. I think because I really didn't have a chance to try it out at all. I just kind of instantly dismissed it just because I think also after I saw, because I only made it on Sunday for this tournament, so I got to see the Saturday's tournament results, and it was like all red, blue, and sapphire steel. So I was like, uh, I don't know if I want to run this into that. So yeah, I didn't try it at all, but worth trying, I think. Especially, I think Artabax was saying he did a lot of testing with it, and it did really well for him. So I'll definitely give it a shot. But yeah,
Yeah, I think for the Set My Art synced by Ursula, it won't really help, since even if you're, let's say you're on the play and you go turn one, they go turn one popsicle, then you go
yeah,
turn two whatever, and then turn two is sales, and then
hmm,
another one drop item. Then your turn three is gonna be Ursula, but you're gonna come too late for the IRM. So even in the
yeah,
best case scenario where you're on the play and there's two targets for Ursula, it comes too late.
yep,
For
you're
to
right.
sing Set My Heart at least.
Yes,
Um, Also, I think that Ursula, I really don't dislike Ursula in this shell, and I'm gonna explain why. Actually, in the guide that made a whole chapter about
oh,
special decks and other consideration for the decks, and like half of it is about Ursula, because so many players were picking up the deck and just
right,
throwing multiple Ursula in there.
yeah,
Ursula was really good in the green steel shell because it can sing
the steel sun.
blasts, yeah, like
Yes, yeah,
Strength of Raging Fire or Let the Storm Region, and
yeah.
some even now maybe uh, I'm Still Here, yeah, that gives a plus two resistance.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
That character.
So the song protects Ursula. She protects herself actually. She cleans the board and um, she protects herself. So she will still there and be able to sing more as the game goes.
Hmm.
Problem in this deck is the you only have friends and chills.
And then chills. That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking too.
So
Yeah.
the problem is like even in best case scenarios when you go Ursula turn three and then turn four, let's say you go Prince John and you sing chills, it's not
Yes.
even that good because your Ursula is gonna die. That's the problem. It's weak to
Right.
Bell mainly, Kaloon, Bell. I said mainly Bell because this is what the meta is about. It also
Right.
takes Brawl, and I think that as you go Ursula and then Prince John and you sing Chills, you use three of your cards and six ink and two of your turns. They discard two, you draw two, so you're at minus three cards and then plus four because they're at
Hmm.
minus two plus two three. So it's
Hmm.
plus one general card value, I'd say. But if you go Prince John turn turn three and then on turn four you play um, Hypnotize, you are cast it, and you
Yes.
sing Chill with let's say at
Diablo.
best Diablo or
Yeah.
Ursula turn two. Then it
Yes.
also costs you three cards. It's gonna make them discard two.
To
You will
yes.
draw three, so it's minus three plus not four but plus five. So I think
Mhm.
like even thinking about those routes, going Prince John into Hypnotize and sing Cheers, it's actually making more card value than going Ursula John singing Cheers. So that
Yeah.
was my point and the reason why I didn't want to go Ursula. It's even in her best case scenario, she's doing less than other options you have.
Yeah. No, I think you're right because now I'm thinking back to when I was playing Green Steel and I had Ursula in my Green Steel deck. And it felt, yeah, it felt really bad whenever she had the sudden chill instead of like playing, singing a steel song, I think. Especially if you're against, a, like you said, like if you're against Calhoun or something and she just can't turn right to do that, or you
Yeah.
lose her. I think I'm in agreement. And since you don't have the steel songs, like you said, to protect her, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Um, Another um, tech from Artabax list is the library, which
Mm.
I kinda like. I've considered that against Red Blue because at some point you're just expecting Sisu, not even be prepared anymore because they're not playing them. They're most likely will have four big Sisus, and yeah, just before that you can just throw everything in the library and expect to draw a bunch of cards to be able to keep the game going after Sisu. It's also a
Mhm.
location that kind of help you questing a little bit and making some lore, because Red Blue has trouble dealing with locations historically. What do you think about the library? Would you play it yourself?
I actually really like it, and I am actually considering it right now. The reason, also another reason, is if well, while we're playing, if we don't draw Diablo or Prince John, it felt really bad because on turn three you have to play like a crab or a fox, and it felt like a little bit like you're wasting tempo, or you're not using the crab to the best of its ability. So, in those situations, like dropping a library on three sounds super good because it's also super like high on health. If you're protecting it with your like just even if you have the 2 cost Diablo like out, like it's a big threat where like they can't just like run Calhoun into it for free or something because you can trade into it and stuff like that. So I kind of like it. As a one of sounds pretty good. Like one or two of, I think I wouldn't go like too crazy with it just because it's not exactly aligning with what your deck is trying to do. But in specific situations, I can see it doing really well. Especially during the tournament, I remember like turn three, I would just put down a crab and that's it. So yeah, I kind of like it.
Yeah, actually, the library, it's funny because the first brew of the deck originally back in set 6 at the like Waru brewed the deck for the last set champ tournament,
Hmm.
and he was playing one library and some Charnabog and Broom, I think.
Yeah.
We end up keeping for the two channel box for the next week, but the library had to go because we were also cutting brooms, and
Hmm.
yeah, since we cutted also the channel box for the new Diablo turn 2. It really felt like the library losing channel box and broom loses a lot of its i- i- what make the library good, because sometimes
Right.
when you go purple you just uh, play the library because of how much you can generate card draw from small Diablo, Broom, and Charnabog being in there.
Right.
But I agree that the main the main uh, the main concern in deck building right now is to find anything that's good against red blue.
Mhm.
And even though library is not something crazy in other matchups, uh, uh, I think it's good enough. Even in other matchups, sometimes, I mean, you always can ink it, but it doesn't do nothing. I really had a problem with cards that are only good in specific matchup, and you never wanna even want to see them in like 80% of the other matchups.
Right.
But the library is um, polyvalent enough. I mean, it always do something.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, then. I would like to thank you for taking time to make this video. We kinda went, I think, pretty in depth with
Yeah.
everything that's options to the deck. We didn't really talked about the core of the deck that much, because I think that people are kinda used to it now. It's been 3 weeks since this deck has appeared, and it's yeah, kinda shaking the meta a little bit, because even though it's a rock deck for now, I think it can compete with those top decks that are red, blue, and blue steel.
Hmm. Yeah. Plus, if they want to understand the core, I hear you have a very good Metafy guide out
Yeah,
for
thank you.
everyone to see.
Yeah. Actually, talking about the guides, yeah, as most of you know, since we created the deck, my teammate Jerome Waru made the first draft of the deck, and yeah, I've decided that it was the opportunity for me to share knowledge and make a detailed metafy guide about it. In it, you will find uh, in-depth breakdowns about the core of the deck, the discard package, the challenge package. Also very important, the Diablo statistics. Why do we mulligan the way we mulligan, and how to optimize to the smallest percentage your chances of shifting Diablo. It's really good in the blind, but it's even better against those red-blue decks that you really need to have Diablo to compete ERAM, because when they have ERAM and you don't have Diablo, there's almost no game.
Yeah.
So you really need to mulligan at the best of your capacities to find that Diablo and maximize your chances. And then I have a remote setup that I record on tournaments with, so you will also find for each matchup POV of games. One is commented, others are just basic POV, not commented, because it takes so much time already. But
Oh yes.
yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I had really good comments and returns on the guide, and I appreciate that people find it quality work. And yeah, for sure you can check that. I will leave the link down below, as well as a 10% code for the guide. So you guys can have a little promotion and a reduction at the occasion of this video. And thank you very much, ZeroTheHero. You're really the hero of the deck. I really didn't expect someone to pick the deck in such a small window of time and manage to master it enough to make a result as the one you did in tournaments, as you said, with so many golden Mickey winners and high profile players.
Oh,
So
they're scary.
congratulations to you. Um,
No, yeah. No, thank you so much. No, like I mean, I have to thank you because I was at such a loss on what to play. Like I was saying, like I was almost gonna play Green Steel, but this is just what I was looking for. So I really appreciate you guys championing this deck, like just in time for me to run it for this
that's
tournament.
great. I mean, Greenstein is not that bad of an idea. I know that um, one of the Morales brothers is on Green Steel also. The
Yeah,
other one
I
is on Blue Steel, but one of them is on Green Steel for a couple of sets now. And I had trouble playing Green Purple against him because he was
mhm.
running a Pluto.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, that's
and
interesting. Yeah.
it's really interesting because I didn't think about Pluto being an issue, but since they have Diablo, you wanna take down the Diablo with your own evasives. Pluto actually denies you that option.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I played Blurple and Pluto was a big trouble for Blurple too. So yeah, I can see that happening. No, no, Green Steel is a super good deck. Like I'm just bad at it. I think I'm okay. I can play it, but no, this deck just I jive with it a lot better. So yeah.
all right then. Yeah, I think we'll close on that. Thank you for coming and have a nice evening.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for having me.